the 11th day of Christmas, gaming gave to me StepManiaX world records.
A Cuphead speedrun.
I'm on a prima.
Modify into it clear.
Foxy beating the land speed record.
The Lumbo Silver.
Solemn Tempest speedrun. Minecraft speedrun.
Beating Arson Geometry Dash.
Pantheon 5 with all binding.
Admin mode while solving a Rubik's Cube.
This is going to be so goofy. Alright. On the 11th day of Christmas, Frogger25 gave to me an invite to be on this stream. And I'm going to be playing StepManiaX. StepManiaX. I'm going to be getting top level perfects, all perfect combos, 100%, 100,000 points. Yeah! It's going to be fun. Alright, Esperanza 17. While juggling. Here we go. That's cool. It's a fun little chart. You may have heard of DDR before with the left, down, up, and right arrows. 4 panels per side, single mode, and double if you play both. So 8 panel, but StepManiaX adds in that middle panel. Makes for some interesting combinations, but you do have to be cognizant about your form, because if you're lazy and you're playing flat-footed and you hit a middle panel early, especially when you're trying to hit an up, sometimes it'll register as an early, and there's no recalc feature. Like, I think there are some builds of not ITG where if there's a debounce issue or you're primarily trying to hit one arrow but you're still on another, it'll give you an early way off, but if you hit that arrow within the proper timing window, it'll recalc that way off to like a fantastic or an excellent or whatever you actually hit in that right window. And there's no way to narrow the windows or disable some of the windows as in some other rhythm games, so you do have to deal with avoiding early fires. Hopefully it's not a pad debounce, which that's not good either. You want it to be sensitive, but not too sensitive. That is, going crazy when you're on a different arrow and like, this one or something on the other pad is firing or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, StepManiaX. It's been a pretty fun intro to the game for me. I just need to have more time to play it, I suppose. I still haven't played about 2/3 of the game, maybe even slightly more than that. But anyway, different modes, 5 panel. There's also a dual mode, which is 3 across and 3 across. So basically line dancing, but you're not playing country songs necessarily. And then you have 10 panel full, and I'll try to play something from each of those modes in this video. Frogger25 asked me to play this, and it's 2025, and it's for a Christmas thing, so December 25, I guess. So I'm gonna try to get 25 all-perfect combos, APCs. Those are synonymous with world records on StepManiaX. Like the signatures will be like, oh, total number of world records. It's the max possible score you can get if you get the top level perfects. I'm gonna get those perfects as opposed to anything below the top level. And that's it. I'm trying to get 100,000 points on at least 25 songs. How about that? So we'll see how that goes. I know time is a little bit crunched here. I just finished my term papers, so I am very happy with that. I just need to get this done and recorded, and then I'll record some stuff in between. So I'll have some interesting stuff to say about the game and my involvements in the year and all of that. So hopefully this will be a fun and entertaining video and stuff like that. I don't even know. So cool. All right, everybody get up. Wild 19, here we go. The bar got a little bit slippery on that one. Just need to use my towel. Oh man, that was a pretty cool one. No, I'm so enthused. Wow. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing random stuff I like. All right, what else? Let me go to a different letter. I'll get out of the E's. Maybe it'll be less easy. Rock Me Forever, Wild 21. This one is pretty fun. Here! Cool. All right, well, that was Rock Me Forever, Wild 21. Still recording, that's good. What else? Here we go. that's Big Boss Wild 21. That was kind of a fun one. Yep. Riveting commentary. So anytime there is a lift, there's like a little thing at the end of that freeze. You have to lift it at the right time. One shortcut in getting those dead on is step when you have to lift, and it's pretty good. My pads are super sensitive. I like them that way, so I kind of have to do that. Otherwise, it thinks I'm still on it. DDR timing windows. Now, DDR is supposed to be built around a 33.3 repeating millisecond window for a perfect, and through DDR Max 2, which is 7th mix, there were only perfects on the top level. But DDR Extreme came along, and then there were non-stop courses and Oni courses, where you had multiple songs in a row and all that, but it was an extra challenge to have a Marvelous. So you could get a Marvelous if you split that perfect window in half. That more precise half was a Marvelous. So that was a new window and a new judgment, even higher than perfect. For some reason, Marvelous is higher than perfect on DDR. So it's clearly an afterthought. But yeah, DDR Supernova 2 started to incorporate Marvelouses into regular gameplay, but the polling rates on the older mixes were extremely inconsistent. You go from the different hardware, you had JAMA boards all the way through Extreme, and then starting with Supernova, you had PS2. I think it's a Midnight Blue PS2, a Japanese PS2, inside a metal case. I have two of them, so I could probably go back and look. I mean, I've seen it. I think it's a Midnight Blue Japanese PS2. So, yeah, the polling on that was extremely inconsistent. So a lot of players complained about their Marvelous counts and all that. Bimani PC was the new hardware standard, I think past that point. And once you got past the Raw Thrills production issues with the DDR-X cabinets and the DDR-X2 US cabinets, the Japanese DDR-X cabinets were phenomenal. So if you play DDR-X Japan versus DDR-X US, it's just like, what happened there? They tried to save money and cut costs, but oh boy, it was inferior technology in the US. So yeah, anyway, beyond that point, and really talking ace and beyond, the polling rate was much improved. So it's extremely easy to get a Marvelous full combo now as compared with before on older mixes, and it's just wildly different. So anyway, that's the windows that you're generally dealing with, plus or minus. I've heard from some people who have access to the newer stuff that it's either 17 or 18 milliseconds with the newest stuff, but the polling rate is much more consistent. The hardware is just a lot better than it was in 1998. It was when DDR was, I guess, officially released. I think some of the builds said 1997 on them still, like there was December 1997 or something like that. But anyway, there are rubber sensors in DDR. It's just a pressure switch basically, but then you have FSRs in StepManiaX, and these things are supposed to be pretty near indestructible. I mean, unless you like bite through them or something silly, but I don't know why you'd be doing that. Like, you get so mad you open up the pads, you get your automatic drill like okay, cool, guess you were mad you got a yellow perfect or an early. Anyway, being goofy here. All right, so yeah, timing windows, StepManiaX, I believe they're 22 millisecond for the top perfect, top tier perfect, the white perfects with the 2 exclamation points. So I think that's what we're dealing with, which it feels pretty nice. Like it's a good window. It doesn't feel not challenging, but it doesn't feel obsessively annoying. Like I've played on there was a 10 millisecond version of ITG that I played on. It was very annoying to me. So I'm like, I would have to play this so much and obsessively to get a really good score to my liking on this. So that's not what I want. And I'm getting older. I want to complete stuff. So I think the windows are pretty nice, but I still am only like a third way through this game, if even that. So I need more time to play this. But anyway, it's been a good year. I'm filling my schedule with really good stuff. And of course, this takes a backseat to a lot of other things in life, which that's just a proper priority. So I don't feel too bad about that. It's just, yeah, wherever the Lord grants me time to keep in shape and all that. If I'm not running, because I did a lot of running this year for the running series, and I did win this year. I clinched this year already, so I'm happy with that, like very happy. So that was a blessing. So praise God for that. And I'm every now and then playing StepManiaX, but it's very hard to do StepManiaX and run in the same day. It's just, this drains me a whole lot if I'm playing anything really remotely challenging. And even then, if I'm playing moderate stuff, I really don't want to go out and run after it. So I kind of might have to reprogram how I operate my day if I want to do 2-a-days on this, but anyway. Well, that's your timing window discussion. I'm going to play some more. All right. That wasn't bad at all. I'm guessing it was a 20 because of the tricky mine section. I don't know. That's it's not a very hard 20. Okay, that was fun though. I gave you juggling for like what 70% of it, and then I dropped. What did I drop? Ugh. It's so hard. I make it look so easy. Like, let me try one more time here. right. Yeah, if you tie your high score, it says new high score every time. So you get that, and then the leaderboards refresh, so you get the quote-unquote world record, and then it puts you at the bottom of the date list. So how did I start playing DDR? Well, I first saw it at the State Fair. I think this was in 2004. It was during my college years. And yeah, it was in an arcade tent. I wish they'd bring that back because the State Fair has been pretty bland the last several years. Oh man, when I was in 7th grade, this was 30 years ago. Oh man, they had the Sprite Slam Dunk. Just that one year, that was by far the best year of the State Fair. Like, oh man, they had slam dunk contests and 3-point contests and oh, the trampoline basketball, like all these things. Man, those were the best days of the fair. I wish they'd bring that back. Like the arcade tent was cool. Like it was all right. The Sprite Slam Dunk was amazing. Man, those were cool. But the State Fair has been basically like, oh, little old Bessie over here doing a little trot over here for the judges. And then, like, that's cool and all, but it's the same thing every year. Like, all right. I don't even know. And then you need a huge lead time if you're going to do anything at the State Fair. So it's like I'm not expecting to do something amazing at the fair necessarily without having some kind of in with someone who already had a permit from 5 years back approved. But anyway, so State Fair has been pretty bland, but the arcade tent was cool. It was open and DDR was facing out, so you heard the music and saw the players playing. They were DDRing. I don't necessarily say dancing. It's just, there isn't usually much coordination outside of, are you hitting within the proper timing windows? I'm playing for accuracy. There are players who put together really cool routines, like you look at Paranoia Boy, for example, modern day example, but a lot of players in the past have done freestyle, and there have been freestyle tournaments, and I've won freestyle tournaments before, but it's more of like a skill thing. Because I dribbled a basketball, like I was doing dribbling tricks on the pad while playing So Deep on heavy little. So it was just the quarter notes of So Deep. But I won that one, and then there was another one where I dressed up as a robot, but it was with like garbage bags, and I couldn't really breathe well. And so like I stopped, and then you could see me like rip open the bag so I could breathe, and then I kept going. It's a goofy. But I won a few of those, but they were more of goofy stylings as opposed to really cool dancing technique. DDR is an arcade game, and I've been able to use it for a lot of really cool things. I've spoken at schools, given health talks, but especially at churches, and mostly youth groups, but I've also done stuff with Pulse Outreach and with like concerts and as a performing act in between different musical groups. And just playing some and then giving an evangelistic message. So I've used this evangelistically as well. And that was kind of one of the hopes of anything that I spent time on, is that the Lord would use it evangelistically. So I'd just be able to tell people about Jesus, as well as be like, share something cool in my life, and encourage people to do things excellently. So there's a lot in there that can be said. Colossians 3, especially with excellence, do things heartily as unto the Lord and not as unto men. And doing all things in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So Colossians 3:23 and Colossians 3:17. But anyway, it's been an interesting hobby. And yeah, that's the first time I went up to play, these guys were playing on standard, and I saw them play and they got off, and I'm like, all right, cool. So what difficulty should I play on? This was DDR Max, which was 6 mix. So there was only a light mode, I think, and there was no beginner. Was it called light? I think it was called light. I don't even know. But whatever it was called, maybe it was basic. But anyway, I got on there, and the guy was like, I don't know what difficulty you should play. I play on this difficulty, the standard mode. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me try standard. So I picked Groove, which I thought sounded really cool. Just a lot of bass, but the lyrics are funny if you listen to the song. I didn't even pay attention. Those are some goofy lyrics, bro. But anyway, so I played Groove, and I just saw this wall of arrows come up, and I'm just like, what the heck is this? But initially when I saw the game, I had the hunch of, you're going to be really good at this game, and just essentially the destination, I'd be really, really, really good at it. So I had that feeling starting out, but I eventually comboed Highs Off You on light, or whatever the difficulty is, basic, and that was my first day of playing. But one of our female friends was like, hey, yeah, they got this out at Crabtree. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me check this out. So I went to Crabtree, and I would go early during the day, like during the opening hours, 10 a.m. usually. And I scheduled some of my college courses around that, so I could go early on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'd start my classes at 1 p.m. So I would play from 10 until like 11:45, drive home, take a shower, and then go to class. And I did that for, what was it, the last 2 years of college? But that was really fun. That was really fun. So, yeah, that was my initial exposure to DDR. And that was also nice because it was quiet, and I could also play songs and get used to them and see the sync issues and really get used to the game. But, then I found out there were tournaments, and so I started playing in those, and I won a whole bunch of major tournaments, and I did really well. I should say I finished top 3 in a ton of tournaments. I think there's a little bit of randomness to it in most cases, unless it's cumulative. That was usually really easy to win in those cases, but most it's pick random usually, or random pick. I haven't been to tournaments since the last Rocky Mount. I don't really plan on going back to tournaments necessarily, unless I feel like the Lord wants me to, but they were a fun set of years, and I met a lot of people through that, so a lot of memories from that. So yeah, but that was my initial exposure to DDR. Nice little up score there. $724 combo. I kind of went up there. Freeze arrows, add to the combos gradually instead of just one step. Yeah. That was a fun one. I liked it. What'd you think? What'd you think? I don't even know. I don't even know because you didn't tell me. All right, next one. love that chart. Love that song. That's fun. Alright, that's I Don't Want to Fall. Some of the charts are paired really well with the songs, and they're not over-charted. Alright, Senorita Speedy Mix, WoW 23. I figured I'd clean that one up for this. Cool, Senorita Speedy Mix. Where's the Enye? Senorita. They did a pretty decent job with most of the songs, I would say, in terms of sync and drift, but there are still some that may need some work, do need some work. So, all right, anyway. All right, let me make a quicker segment here because the last one was kind of long. Let me talk about technique. So a lot of times in DDR and StepManiaX, you have charts that want you to turn. So you have stuff like crossover. So right, down, left is an example, all right? You can either turn it like this, or you can start out crossed over if that makes any sense, and do right, down, left, or you can just double step it like 1, 2, 3. And it's not usually like 1, 2, 3. It's usually you end the run on the double step. But if there's a mine coming up on the right arrow, and you turn it, you're off of the right arrow. So the mine comes up, you're fine. You're off of that arrow. If you're on that arrow because you double stepped it, oh, you now have a mine that you hit. All right, that's going to deduct from your score. And if you do that, you have to do something extra like jump off the arrow really quick, which also expends more energy. Usually double stepping will save you some energy. Sometimes people will add some flair, like in it's the Beethoven song, Beethoven Virus, I think. It has like a spin in it on some level, but you can just double step it. So usually people just double step that. And also you have things like Robot World where you have that middle arrow that's a freeze. There's a little bit of leniency on it, so you can stay off of that a little bit and still go back to it and keep it running. But it wants you to do something like this, like just be on that middle panel and then spin around or whatever. But ain't nobody got time for that usually. So like you can also just jump or whatever. You can also probably just do this if you're really fancy about it, just one foot it. So that gets rid of that as well. So there are various ways to do this technique. Some of the songs have also more complex patterns like B2U, Orchestra Groove, Oni on DDR. And they're also charts like what is that thing called? Become Astral, where it has like a middle panel that you got to go back to. So something like that. So there are incorporations of that middle panel where you kind of got to like, sneak your back foot in there. It's kind of cool. And you could double step all of that, but you got to be careful that you're actually keeping clean technique and hitting within the right timing window. So that's about it. A lot of players use bar. Most players use bar competitively. You go to tournaments, most players are going to use bar. Sometimes there are no bar tournaments, but it's very rare, but it's going to be versatile. If you juggle, you're probably not going to use bar. I need like a big old extension so like my back is supported or something, like, yay, let me lean back as well as juggle, but that could probably wear on my hip flexors, just even thinking about that. Oh boy, how to get injured 101, overuse. Anyway, you got to be wise about that too. So anyway, that's a little bit of technique. Sometimes you gotta when you're playing full, you gotta kind of spot where you're going. So sometimes there's an up at the start of the run or a down, but you gotta kind of look ahead just a little bit to know where you're gonna end up on the other side, especially during those pad transitions. That's, I think, the biggest thing to learn when you're playing full is that pad transition. So normally, like, if you go over to one side and there's a lot of stuff over here and all that, and then like there's one transition over here, like sometimes you can just double step it and be like, oh cool, like take care of all the arrows here, like yeah, keep it going. Like if one chart had 400 arrows on this side and then you go over this side once and do 400 arrows, that would be mad easy. Like that's just basically playing 5 panel with like one pad transition, but that's a big thing on full. Another thing is avoiding, like in duel, you want to keep your feet straight forward as much as possible, because if you don't, sometimes you can trigger more than one arrow and then you'll get some earlies and all that. So I've had some charts where, you know, I've been stuck on 0 yellow perfects but 1 early because just my technique wasn't too clean. And you can get tired and then you get some form errors because of that, but yeah, just be careful about that. Other than that, if the pads get drenched, it's usually no fun. Some players like that slickness. Maybe I'll tell you one story in another segment about yeah, that'll be next segment. How about that? Oh man, people like baby powder on the pads. Anyway, all right, that's it for this segment. That's on technique. That's basically the 3 here and then the 3 on the other side as well. was a full chart, so that was 10 panel. Pilgrim 2000. Kind of like the song. What you think? Yeah. All right. All right. Daydream Therapy.
You're my daydream therapy, drifting through the scenery, painting pictures from my heart. Oh, I'm just a dream, dream, daydreamer. A dream, daydreamer. It's all a fantasy, my daydream therapy. You're my daydream therapy.
There's one part I foot switch on that. I should say one area. That's another thing. If your feet are a little bit big for the game, then you can easily clip one of the other arrows, especially when your pads are really sensitive. So I just foot switch those and then you're good. Some people like more slippery pads than others. I actually like really stoppy pads, the Windex style. You know, you stop whenever you want to stop. A lot of force into it, and then you can turn from there. I'd rather have that. But a lot of players will just use baby powder. They'll put it on a corner panel, even during major tournaments, and kind of distribute it around like this. And there are gaps between the arrows. So there was one major tournament in particular that I was a part of and competing in. And there was so much stuff inside the arrows that even though I cleaned off the arrows with Windex, by the end of the song, stuff has poofed out so much from the arrows that the thing was slippery as mess. On the final run, I went for it with my left foot to start the run, and it completely slipped out from under me. I was still holding the bar, so I stopped it, but I felt a real pain in my hamstring, and for years I had a knot on it. And the interesting thing, I don't feel it anymore. So maybe the Lord just healed it. So whether naturally or supernaturally, I don't feel it anymore. But I remember the first few years of joggling that I did, yeah, I had that knot in my hamstring. That was just like, I had to stretch it out extra. But the extension on my legs wasn't what it was. But I don't feel it anymore, so maybe it's all good now. But anyway, some people like to kind of glide all over the pads, so they use baby powder. There are also more extreme versions of this, where people used Minwax and WD-40. Like there was one guy who used WD-40 on his pads and wore socks and then saran wrap over his socks. And it was just like, like what in the world? But oh my goodness, like it's just wild, the differences, and like I can't imagine that. I want to stop when I want to stop, as opposed to sliding all over the place. If you're playing a stamina chart, there's a stamina community where you're playing just like stuff for sometimes hours. It's just like marathon charts, like ridiculous amounts of just stream and just playing, but it's going to be much more economic if you just barely hit the panels. People also made smaller pads with less region to go to hit the arrows. They modify the pads so it's directly flush and countersink everything and shave off the corners of the panels so it sits up higher. There are a lot of different mods that you can do on this game, but You can only do so much on an arcade cabinet, like a public arcade, but if you have your own, which a lot of players who are really into it do, I mean, I have one here. I also have a pump cabinet and a DDR cabinet. So, yeah, I need to get rid of that pump cabinet, so someone needs to buy that. Yeah, buy it. But anyway, some of the more extreme players will buy the cabinets. I see that as equity. I put the money into it. I like to play it whenever I can, and then like if I ever want to get rid of it, I can sell it. I'll get the use out of it without having to pay an arcade who they're probably not going to take care of the pads so much. Sometimes you'll get an arcade, like McKeith's arcades have been really good about it. So if you ever see Extravaganza, those are good places, and they'll often have multiple rhythm games. But there are some places that take care of it. Sometimes, like the Dave & Buster's here has let me work and fix the pads on the DDR A20. They're never going to get the upgrade, I guess, but oh my goodness, there are a few releases back now. Man, that's not their fault necessarily. Maybe it's more their fault than I think, but I think it's more of the company behind the other game. Behind the game, not StepManiaX, but anyway, you catch my drift. So yeah, I don't even know, man. So anyway, they'll sometimes let you fix stuff up, and that's cool, but it's more reliable to get your own stuff. Pay down the money if you can. If you have the space, that's another thing. A lot of people don't have the liquidity or the space. I mean, these are major resources. So I don't know. It's one thing. Count your blessings. I'm very glad to have those resources at least at this point. So yeah, it's been cool. The end, I guess, for this segment. Crazy loop. Fun little chart. Crazy loop. Cool. Yeah, I like this song. I haven't played that in a long time. All right, cool. Yeah, one of my favorites. That's a cool one. I think it's a good 22. It's a good chart. That's When the Sun Goes Down, Wild 22. Robot World, Wild 19, while juggling. Clean. That's cool. This is day 11 out of day 12 in the 12 Days of Christmas series, which puts the expected air date of this one on Christmas Eve. I'm not sure what time it'll air necessarily. I think Frogger25 is in charge of that, but it'll probably be a few hours out from Christmas Day. So I want to reflect on Christmas as well as gifts. Now I want to reflect on what one wise man once said: "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Now, if we have loved ones and we give them good gifts that benefit them, maybe they needed something, maybe they wanted something and they're overjoyed at getting that, that's a blessing to us when we see that joy, when we bless them with something with our actions and we improve their lives. That can be a real blessing to us. So whether it's giving to charity or giving gifts to other people, that can be an excellent way of giving in this season. And remembering that people are always in need. We're always going to have some people who are going to need the help. And so, yeah, we need to be blessings to other people as we can. Sometimes we're on the receiving end of those blessings, and sometimes we can give and receive that blessing of having given as well. So it is more blessed to give than to receive. But thinking about that, I mean, I can look at StepManiaX, and StepManiaX while juggling, I can't really explain that outside of saying these are gifts from God, and combining these things, and not just that, but also the coordination to hit the arrows with perfect timing, the cardiovascular system that's healthy. Health is a major blessing as well. That's a gift. And so we can wake up and not even appreciate all the gifts that we've been given, even each day. And so we're in this universe and we have all these gifts that we've been given. And I hope that you can reflect on what you've been blessed with, especially. And maybe God has gifted you with various other things, and maybe things that are more lucrative than DDR and juggling, right? Like almost anything. But anyway, like you can be gifted in physics. You can be gifted in being a great paralegal, or being great at sports, or great at music, or whatever the case is. All these gifts and talents that we've been given, and all these interests that we can look after and learn. There's so much to learn in this universe. So just so much that we can look to in receiving blessings from what is all around us. And so what God has given you can be a gift to bless other people as well. My uncle and aunt were here for an extended stay. And man, they watch a whole lot of TV. Like, I think they watch too much TV personally, but I want to spend time with them. I want to be hospitable. So I spent some time, and they were watching NFL football on a Sunday. So camera panning around, all that. You see people in the crowd. They're holding up signs, poster board, all that. Sometimes it's about the teams. Sometimes it's about the players. Sometimes it's about the network that it's on. But other times, like you see someone kicks an extra point, and just about inevitably, you're going to see a sign that says John 3:16. Or maybe like you have John 3:16 written on like here. So it's like, okay, cool. You see John 3:16, and I know not everyone knows what John 3:16 says, but it's focused on giving, where it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life." And this is couched within a conversation that Jesus is having with Nicodemus, where Nicodemus was a very educated scholar of the law. He knew his stuff. He was a Pharisee. And yet he wasn't completely understanding who Jesus was revealing himself to be. John 3:16, a lot of people know. 2 verses later, John 3:18, Jesus mentions the concept that we stand under condemnation by default. Like we are, as Paul would say, we're all concluded under sin by the law, and so we've disobeyed God. Just as Adam and Eve were given a basic command, like don't eat from this one tree, and they ran right to the tree. Like, oh great, so disobedience against God's law. But any sort of sin leads to death or separation from God. And it says in Romans 6:23, the first part, that the wages of sin is death. So that is an eternal death or a separation from God. And it concludes with, "But the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord." And so we can be brought back to peace with God because of God's provision to us of his Son Jesus. And so John 3:17, one verse after John 3:16, says that God has not sent his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. And yeah, we have the gift of Jesus. He showed up in humanity and lived a sinless life. He was a like-for-like sacrifice, that someone has to die in your place, or something has to die in your place to cover that sin, to appease the wrath of God that results from the sin. So these are all theological concepts, and you can look more into these, but the basics here, that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, Romans 3:23. The wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. And we have Romans 10:9, where Paul says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. And so Jesus living a sinless life, dying in our place for the sins that we've committed, and then God approving of that, saying, "Hey, I approve of this sacrifice," where Peter says in Acts chapter 2 that the grave could not hold Jesus. And God raised him from the dead. That's the approval of, hey, he's not deserving of this death. I'm raising him back to life. He brought him to a place of exaltation where Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father, an exalted spot, and we're still awaiting his return. Matthew 24, we are always called to look up, to always be ready. Sorry for the split infinitive there. Always to be ready. But yeah, Jesus is going to return as well, and so we need to prepare for his return. And no man knows the day nor the hour. You'll hear people left, right, and every direction saying, "Oh, it's going to be on this day and this day." It's like, okay, no man knows the day nor the hour. Even Jesus said so directly. I think that's Matthew 24:36, but you can check me on that. But anyway, it's something where we don't know the number of our days, but we do know the gift that God has given us, and that Jesus has said himself that he is the way, the truth, and the life, that no man comes to the Father except through him, that God has provided his Son as the way back to him, that this chasm was fixed between us and God, and yet Jesus bridges that gap. And so we can go across that bridge, walk across, accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior, where he is Lord, he is the master of our lives, and we're publicly identifying that. We confess with our mouth, and we believe in our heart, the very core of our belief, that God has raised him from the dead, that he has attested to, "This is my Son in whom I am well pleased." And he is Lord. He wants to be Lord of your life. And I hope you can find that gift as a blessing, because God has given us that gift to bring us back to peace with God. Romans 5 says that though we were yet sinners, and we're called the enemies of God in that, Christ died for us, that God shows his love for us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So going back to John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son." And I hope that you can reflect on that gift, that he has provided his own Son to suffer and die in our place, to bring us back to peace with God, that we don't have to pay for our sins because Jesus has already covered them if we put our faith in him. And so it's basically like, hey, here's the gift. Do you receive this? Like, do you believe in Jesus? Do you accept him via faith? Do you confess him as Lord? Do you believe that I've raised him from the dead? So just a reflection on God's gift to us in this season. And that's really what Christmas is reflecting on from a faith standpoint. Now, I can pinpoint the crucifixion and the resurrection as two main points on the faith calendar that we look to. But Jesus entering into humanity in order to be able to do that for us, that's huge as well. And so that's what I hope that you reflect on this Christmas, not just the gifts that we give to one another or the gifts that God has given us in talents and abilities, but especially the gift that God has given us in his Son, Jesus Christ. As John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life." And so I hope that you receive that gift, if you haven't yet, even today. So anyway, you can leave me a comment or send me an email or something. I don't know. That's about it. So I hope you enjoyed that segment, and Merry Christmas. There you go. That's a fun one. Yeah, I like that song quite a bit. The Stars. That's a 24. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's Emotion, the Wild 22 by Smiley, another pseudonym for Kyle A. Ward. Yeah, I like how it says KyleAward.com or whatever. Kyle A. Ward. Anyway, it's like I won a prize every time. Kyle Award. I won the Kyle Award. Sweet. I don't know how I got that. All right. Because like the first, I was expecting that, or like I was hitting them like 30 seconds early on. I was like, okay, well, they're not 30 seconds. All right. I got it though. So how was your 2025? You can put how your 2025 was in the comments. If you have any 2026 goals, I'd actually encourage you not to post those. I want you to write them down for your own records and plan them out, and not really tell many people until you start to get progress or you complete various goals. Because sometimes you set goals and then you tell everyone and you feel great about that. That's the dopamine hit, the dopamine rush, and you don't really continue to pursue it because you've already received the reward that you were expecting from chasing after a goal. So I wouldn't really recommend posting your 2026 goals per se, but if you think it would be a benefit, sure. But anyway, yeah, it's been a very busy 2025 for me. I've been working full-time, which is nothing new. That's still a blessing. And then I'm working on full-time PhD courses. So I took 9 this year, and I have a 4.0 still. Average grade was something like a 99.5 or 99.6. So I'm doing very, very well in coursework, but it's just a lot of work. And then I'm running the Wednesday night Bible studies. I taught 38 of those this year. Very few people actually helped fill in. That was a lot of work, but I mean, I've preached through the entire New Testament before, so I can draw from some of those records, but I do repurpose it in a more interactive format versus the sermons that I initially preached. But yeah, that's been a lot of work. And then the Sunday communion services, so Sunday afternoons. And then sometimes I'm doing the Friday night worship nights as well. That's much more rare. I mean, I'm not singing this stuff because I'm not like a Patti LaBelle or something, but but I do long form poetry, so like sermon poem type stuff, spoken word, and so I'll do that sometimes. And I wrote one that was about the birth of Christ and the birth of the church, and so that was one that I have ready for Christmas. So anyway, I stay busy. Sometimes I am recruited to help test certain things. Sometimes I'm recruited to write or revise certain things. Sometimes I'm proofing grammar after a proof, and I'm like, well, why am I doing this necessarily? But it's a fun one. Along with 21s, I guess. This is the Wild 21 chart. So some of these songs only have beginner, easy, hard, and wild difficulties on 4-panel. And I think those are probably the older songs, because a more recent innovation is including easy plus and hard plus. So for example, if there were an easy plus in here, maybe you'd have an 11 or 12 difficulty. So that would fill a gap there, so it's not a jump from 8 to 16. That's a little discouraging for some players, but I think the plus charts are kind of cool. Sometimes they're too close to the difficulty in some cases, and it just feels more like you have two similar charts that you just have to complete. Plus, when there are updates, you also get dual and dual plus and full plus on the newer songs. And sometimes you get a chart update where they kind of fill in the gaps with those plus charts. there's a lot of game to play here. That's one thing that I didn't start StepManiaX until super late, kind of when I was just like, I mean, let me just play it for fun. Because if I were playing it seriously, I would get really discouraged by, like, oh, there's a song pack update. One time I think there were 3 days in a row where there were 5 new songs, and that equates to, 150 new charts that you have to play. I have to keep up in that case, so I feel like I'm barely staying afloat. Like, I'm so far behind in playing all this stuff. Like, I haven't even played probably 60% of these charts, and probably even more than that. It's probably more like 2/3 I haven't played. But anyway, I'll eventually get to them, I guess. Maybe, if the Lord grants my legs longevity. But anyway. Okay. King of Fire. Yay! Now that courses are over for the year, that's a huge relief. I do have one more family trip that's going to require a really long drive, but I'll get through that. So, man, I need to relax, and maybe what I'll do is I'll go to the library. There might be this compilation volume on the life of Herman Melville. You know about Herman Melville? So, the previous volume had a ton of factual errors, but it was really well received initially. Like, on the retail sites, it was about a 4.8 star review average, and across a lot of people giving reviews. So it was really well received, and I thought graphically it was pretty engaging. Like, it was pretty well presented graphically, but there were factual errors that needed to be worked out. So they recruited the editorial staff. The editorial staff tends to have the final decision on what gets out there, but they recruited multiple authors to fix these errors. And one author in particular that I know about, he submitted a ton of stuff and staying up to like 3 and 4 a.m. some of these nights in between full-time this, that, and the other involvements. Like, he's just really busy, but he was sending in these corrections, and the editorial staff actually took many of his changes and, dispersed throughout these chapters. It's a pretty long book. I think the new volume has like 400 pages, and it's really well graphically presented in terms of what I can tell. So it seems like a pretty good work. I know people were criticizing the volume, saying that maybe it seems like a cash grab. I think that was kind of a minority view, but if the perception was that nothing was actually changed, and I kind of understand that, but seeing how much was actually changed, I don't know, 400 pages for $15 is pretty darn good, I think. And if you get cash back, if you're spending wisely, and you get 25.5% cash back on the regular, or 20 to 25 from different sites, different book sites or whatever, you're going to get that for like $11.80 or somewhere in that ballpark, which is pretty good, I think, for a 400-page graphical volume. But anyway, it's just one of those things. Sometimes there's a difference in vision between the editors and the authors, where the first 4 chapters of this new volume are really, really left-brained and like a walkthrough type style in terms of the details of the life of Herman Melville, like very detail-oriented, very sophisticated, I think really, really good walkthrough type chapters. But there were a few later on where the detail level that this author was submitting was just so in depth that the editors were like, I don't know if we're going to put in all these details. But it's 400 pages. That's still a lot of stuff. So anyway, sometimes there was a print deadline issue where there was new stuff coming out about Herman Melville that was not yet public, and it was still being changed at the point, even as the print deadline hit. And so a lot of the initial vision of that was let's put out a brief teaser about this, and that's all we can really do responsibly. You don't want the details leaking. You don't want to put in everything that's still being changed and that type of stuff. So that's kind of one thing where maybe one of those chapters was a victim of that. But what I would do if I found that volume at the library, I might just open to chapter 13. Like I'd start in chapter 13 as you would do a normal classic. Oh my goodness, like I might even have a librarian scan it. Like scan chapter 13 for me. Yes, please. And but some of the authors don't, like we have multiple authors, so not all of the authors have anything to do with some of these chapters. So it's just interesting to see what was changed, and a lot of stuff was changed, but just go to chapter 13 and get an analysis. But I know that a lot of people were thinking that this author was like responsible for certain things, and you submitted a bunch of blank pages, author one. Like, okay, but there are multiple authors, there are multiple editors. I know that author put in a lot of work, did his best, and still sees a lot of these changes done, and this is a huge step forward in his view. So I guess I'll check out that volume and see what I think, But anyway, all right, more StepManiaX. Let's go. Yeah. Early in some parts. It's not a very good sync graph on that for me. Anyway, okay, that's Ghosts. That's a classic from DDR Max, aka Sixth Mix. Yeah, way back in the day. fun little chart. Go Rocky Joe. All right. Unfortunately, my very, very early position on the leaderboard is now the most recent, which means I take the quote-unquote world record, but like it overwrites my earlier all-perfect combo. So I don't know, like I guess I got to take a picture when I actually first get them. So I'm like, okay, what order did I actually get them in? So anyway, you can be first to APC something and then play it like 4 years later, and then you're last on the list technically by date. So I don't know, it's I wish you could order it in different ways. That'd be great. All right, Fourier Rush WoW 23. That's a fun one. One of my favorites on this. That's pretty new. All right. That's a nice one. That's a fun chart. That's a fun chart. You have some options as well. Like you could foot switch some of that too. You could also double step one part that I did the the crossovers for. Anyway, really fun. Cool. Good addition to the game. I feel sun.
I feel sun.
Sun. Well, everyone, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and an excellent 2026. So, DJ Sturf out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace. God bless you. And I hope you enjoy the entire 12 Days of Christmas series. So, all right. The end.